It's the 13-week countdown to Ohio sports betting. Are you as excited as we are? Welcome back to another episode of the HeyUSA podcast. My name is Nick Garcia, senior reporter at HeyUSA, and with me is my esteemed colleague, Mr. Brant James, lead writer, Sharp Sights. Brant, we've been out for a little bit. I've been traveling. You've been rooting for the Orioles. How have things been?
It's been good. Hit upstate New York for a sports betting conference. I made my first ever trip to Saratoga Springs. Lovely. Okay. Lovely this time of year. It's probably a mess during the wintertime, but it's cold and nasty. And I made it out to the race course, and it was wonderful. And I won a few dollars thanks to our Katina colleague, Andrew Champagne.
Did you run into Dave Portnoy? I heard that he was up in Saratoga.
Was he really? No, I didn't run into him. He pays to be places that I generally cannot frequent, and that's cool. That's cool. We can have our own spaces. I did share an elevator with him once, and that fact was driven home because there was about there's probably $15,000 worth of clothing in that elevator, and mine comprised like $80 worth of it.
What was like the travel getting there? Like, I know Saratoga's you're not flying into Saratoga, right? How are you getting there?
Took an airplane, conventional, to the big wings, to the little ones in the back, bunch of engines. I don't know. Flew up expecting an airline, just travesty because it was a Saturday afternoon. Yeah. And I had tacked on some extra recreational travel because I like to tempt fate. So I flew into Albany, picked up a rental car, which hilariously had Florida plates on it. And because that was just too simple, I drove immediately 3 hours north to Montreal because I hadn't been there in a while, and I needed to drive on some confusing French roads and almost wreck a couple times. I have no idea what those yellow lines are on the highway, but at least the signs are in the same shape, and the red ones, arrête, means stop. So I parked the car and hung out for 2 days in Montreal, and then hightailed it back for the conference, back into the US of A. And that was it. It was beautiful up there. Like I said, I wouldn't want to be there in January, but it was awfully cool being there in August.
That does sound like quite the trip. Are you getting you writing any stories out of your experience up there? Like you got anything in the pipeline for that?
Oh, did I write stories? Yes. You've got to come on over to Gaming Today. We'll link in there. It was a horse racing and sports betting summit, so they were talking about the ponies a lot. There were some familiar topics such as the mix fixed odds, horse betting odds. Everyone seems on board, but only one state, New Jersey, currently has it. The dream there is the horse racing industry, which really needs more and younger fans. Would love for the kids to parlay up Old Paint in the fifth, Saratoga with the Knicks. And then angrily fade the Yankees because they suck now, even though they've won like 200 games. Somehow they're bad right now. So that was one of my favorite parts, honestly.
Yeah.
Sidebar. One of my favorite parts about being in New York, they were just starting to get really rolling in this real crap phase that they're in. And they were losing to the Rays. I'm not a Rays fan, but they were losing to the Rays. And just the absolute panic. And the Yankee fans, we were good then, we're not good now, we're going to be terrible in the playoffs. It's over. That is just the sweetest of nectar for someone who doesn't like the Yankees. It was great. And then they talked about more sports betting stuff at the conference.
I feel like that's the feeling of everyone who's not a Yankees fan. But
so good.
Before we jump into the aura and prestige that's going to come with Ohio sports betting, the Yankees, where a few pods, maybe 3 or 4 ago, we were hammering about how their run differential was in the 200s. They're still 8 games up in the division, but in the month of August, they are 7-14. But, as I said, New York teams don't just begin to decline. They collapse. They have these fall collapses is how we describe them.
Floor falls out. And I get it. You have to be good. And the baseball playoffs are just so they just quake you now. It can be over so fast. And you have to be good in the postseason. And, they're 76-48. The run differential is down to 188. No, only 188. But, it can be over so fast. What was the situation like? was it? God, it all runs together. Was it last year where you had two 100-win teams in a wild card? Was that Padres Dodgers?
Yep.
Yeah, it can be over. I mean, they're still in a good spot as far as they're quite obviously making the playoffs. But yeah, if they continue to suck,
they could be the first round elimination. Yeah. We would not hate that.
The state of New York tax coffers, if they gack on this, is going to be so good for all those Yankees bets, all those Yankees
and
future bets.
It's a testament to the game because for X amount of months of the year, you can have the bats going, you can have starting pitching that's going, your bullpens keeping you in the games, and then all of a sudden, if one of those floors falls out, it could cost you the season. Like you have a starting pitcher go down, it messes with your rotation. Next thing you know, shit, bats don't swing much like my White Sox. Shit, yeah.
I mean, you got Garrett Cole punching the top of the dugout. You've got was it Alek Manoah kind of like challenging him to come fight about it if he's really bad. I mean, this is great. This is great.
It does make for great theater. If you're a real baseball fan, you'd love to see the Yankees lose. So that's great.
That said, if someone right now were about to clean out your cryptocurrency account or put a gun to your head, no one should ever do that, and said, okay, who's going to win the World Series? Who would you say?
Right now, today, I
got to get it right. Got to get it
right. So this might be an out of the box thing because it involves another New York team, but it's not the team you're thinking. I do think the New York Mets have a chance to win the World Series this year.
I was going to say that. Now I can't. I'm not going to say Cardinals because they're obnoxious too, and I don't think the Brewers can do it. Oh man, I'm not going to say Guardians.
Nope.
I still think the Yankees are going to win the World Series, and that sucks. But yeah, right now I'm enjoying it. This is sort of like a beautiful, cool day in the middle of the dog days of summer. So I'm just going to enjoy it while it lasts.
That division also is interesting because the Mets were up as much as 12 to 15 games, and now the Braves have slowly closed that window. So I think that division will come down to the wire. I think obviously you want a division title just to say you got it, but I think either of those teams would be happy to make the postseason regardless. Winning a division championship doesn't automatically guarantee a World Series. So I think Mets, Braves don't care. We just want to win the last game of the season. And so I think both of them make it, but I do think the Mets got a little bit more stuff, like a player here or there, or an arm here or there that they can hopefully, take it all the way.
Be amazing. Oh, and another point out of the sports betting conference in Saratoga, a large scale, big money, deep pockets real estate developer and casino owner in New York believes that the Mets, Mr. Cohen, is going to be the recipient of what they think is going to be the one, out there to attain casino license in New York. He doesn't believe there'll be one in Manhattan, but he thinks that the Mets are going to get it over at Citi Field. So the tie-in.
Yeah, that'll be something to watch. Segueing into the meat of today's little discussion, Ohio sports betting. About 13 weeks away. Now, not everyone, I would say gambling interests, those have an interest in Ohio, your Buckeye fans, people who root against Michigan. Sports betting is coming to the state. It will be here by New Year's Eve. Is that correct?
It's New Year's Day. I think they're going to
New Year's Day.
Whatever weird thing they do there when the Buckeye comes down the pole. I don't know. They'll just start hammering their thumbs on their DraftKings app or whoever they choose to patronize.
Yeah, you'll have mobile betting. You'll have betting at certain venues, sporting event venues and things like that. Casinos, obviously. But one of the interesting things, bars, bars get it as well. The interesting thing is there's over a dozen. I couldn't even name you over a dozen sports betting apps, but over a dozen of these things are going to be flooding Ohio. Now, what do you make of something like that? What do you make of a state that's like opening up the doors to every single mobile app on the planet? It appears legal mobile app on the planet.
Yeah, legal. It appears it's sort of the Maryland route, who had upwards of, my goodness, when they were originally talking about like 60. I mean, okay, I guess this is great for startups. The bros in the dorm, let's make an app and see if we can get
Yeah.
licensed. I mean, I guess it's great for competition. It sounds like there was a movement in the legislature there to be consumer forward, to try and give the customers of the state of Ohio something to choose from. So they've done that. I mean, you're talking about all the venues, all the different places that are going to be able to get licenses and have venues, and among them the sports teams. I'm writing a story about Hall of Fame Village. We've talked about them a lot in the past. That they're going to have a retail sports book, a Bet Rivers retail sports book at the Hall of Fame. They're going to have a mobile partner with Betr, Jake Paul's startup micro betting app that they hope to. It's awesome when you get those make-up words. They say they want to lead the TikTokification of sports betting.
Interesting.
Meaning your little attention span gets in there for about 30 seconds, I guess, and hammers it and moves on. But hey, people love TikTok, so maybe it's not a bad thing to try and be like that.
They do. Yeah, we had a pod, a while back about that same niche topic. TikTok is one of the leading search engines, next to YouTube almost. And if you can hold that attention for seconds, why not place a bet? But that's pretty interesting. Yeah, I think Canton will be a nice place. You get the first football game of the year. You get the Hall of Fame inductees. Throw a couple bets. Baseball season's going. Be a nice little feature for that town. Now you have a interview with Mike Crawford. I say that right? Coming down the pipeline. Yeah. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, we've spoken with him several times over the years. It's been good to keep up and talk to them during this next iteration. He's the CEO of the Hall of Fame Village. It's the company that runs the property around the Hall of Fame. It's not just the football stadium where the first football game of the year is played, NFL preseason game. They're getting a content studio. There's more, almost like an amusement park feel they're trying to develop there, and they're going to have a sports book, and they have the Hall of Fame. So, they want to be everything to everyone if you're a NFL fan. So the latest iteration, as I said, they announced the deal with Betr, Jake Paul's micro betting online sports betting app. Yeah. So now they have a retail, and now they have an online, and they would very much wish that betting had come for the entirety of the NFL season, given how popular it is everywhere, much less Ohio. But, they'll get it the first year, they'll get the playoffs. If you're assuming that the Bengals are going to do well, they'll probably have a lot of money flooding in. So it's a really interesting venue to have such a thing, and sort of demonstrates how it's really kind of wide open in Ohio who gets to participate in this. So, we had a good chat, and we'll give you a little snippet. We'll most likely run the full interview at some point, because it's always interesting to talk to him about the industry broadly and specifically what they're doing there. But take a listen to Mike Crawford talking about the next thing and how Betr is going to make them better. Thanks for your time today, Mike. Really appreciate that.
Sure.
Very good. Well, I guess the basic question off the top is, tell me what led you to Betr as a mobile sports betting partner, and how that advances the proverbial ball as you move toward the launch of sports betting in Ohio.
That's our goal. Keep moving the ball down the field. I think we surveyed. We originally had a partner in Genesis that we thought was going to be the right fit for us. I think as we continued down the path with them, and then also explored other opportunities, Betr came into the picture. And as we understood, their goals and what they were trying to achieve, it frankly aligned even more closely with what we were trying to do from a sports betting point of view, and also from a guest experience standpoint, and then from a media point of view. You'll recall that we have 3 business verticals: destination-based assets, media, and gaming. And we just thought that overall the marriage with Betr was going to be a much broader opportunity for us. And so, knowing Jake Paul and his appeal, and an Ohio guy to start with, and I got to know Joey Levy, their CEO, quite well, seemed like good partners for us.
There was a little snippet there with Mike Crawford. Stay tuned for the full interview. We'll be dropping that in another video soon. But a little bit more on the gambling side of things. There's one big story that I wrote. We'll be sure and link this in the description below. For those of you that are Barstool fans, Penn Entertainment, formerly Penn National Gaming, purchased 100% of Barstool this past week, which means Barstool is now a subsidiary of Penn Entertainment, and it makes Dave Portnoy a very, very rich man.
That is the American dream, to spitball something, grow it, and sell that sumbitch. Man.
It is crazy, yeah. Especially when you think about him, he started selling a newspaper, a sports newspaper, and now he's selling it to a casino. It's insane. For those of you who've been keeping track, Penn Entertainment bought 36% of Barstool for a buttload of money a couple years ago. Wrote in some clauses where they can up their thing to 50% for $62 million, and then outright purchase the entire product at a later date. That later date came last week, where they announced that they would be purchasing 100%. And what that means essentially is that Barstool Sportsbook is going to be the official face of Penn Entertainment for the foreseeable future. That means all the rebrands, and there's no other apps that they're going to be making. It's purely Barstool stuff. And it also, for their balance sheet, their bottom line, it means that they don't have to spend any money for advertising because Dave Portnoy and his, plethora of personalities do it for them. I mean, what a great business model.
It's genius. I mean, it really follows along with what DraftKings and FanDuel did. They parlayed many, many email addresses from the DFS days into early and easy pitches and name recognition when sports betting came to those DFS players' states. But it's fascinating. I mean, I think we're all used to many of the cringeworthy things that the Barstool Bros do. Man, somebody over there at Penn is really staking their future on this working out. It's something obscene not happening.
Yeah.
I mean, I would not want to be the HR person that has to onboard the Barstool Bros onto the medical plan, onto the sensitivity memo.
Yeah,
because you can't neuter them. You can't make them unoffensive. I mean, I don't have to say this. We all know the content that Barstool has put out there. You can't take that away from them. You can't.
No.
I mean, that's why they were valuable, but.
Exactly.
Man, if I'm a suited Penn Entertainment, my collar's a little tight as I'm waiting to see how this one works out.
You did mention a fantastic point, about another company. You mentioned how FanDuel and DraftKings parlayed their fantasy sports bettors into their fantasy players into sports bettors. Fanatics might be doing the same. They have over 22 million for their online retail and sales, and we know that Fanatics is getting into the sports betting industry. One would assume that they'll take those 22 email addresses and flood your inbox with, hey, sign up with our sportsbook, which again in itself is a fantastic business model. Now you got 20, if you can convert each one, you got 22 million sports bettors on your app. That's insane.
It's unbelievable the multi-layer marketing that's happening with sports betting now. I mean, just think what Fanatics could pitch at you: a hat, an NFT, a sports bet if it's legal where you are. And I'm not even trying to be funny. I mean, this stuff could be all packaged. DraftKings is looked into NFTs. They're trying this too. They're content platforms. I mean, it really is becoming not just part of your sports entertainment consumption. I mean, my goodness, it's now your consumerism too. Yeah,
spitballing stuff for a few minutes. Think of Fanatics if they were like, "Hey, you want to buy this new White Sox? You spend $25 with us right now, you get a White Sox hat for free if you're in Illinois." Or now that they own Topps, for those baseball collectors out there, wager $150 if you're a new user. And get a surprise card in the mail. Could be something that you don't have before or anything like that. So, I mean, with the retail shop, or not retail, I'm sorry, online shop that Fanatics has, there's so many ways that, spend $100, get a free $25 bet, something like that. It's insane.
I mean, the savvy bettors that hunt around to exploit the promo codes and the free bets and the like are going to keep doing that. They're going to want some sort of monetary value-ish. But if you're just the dabbler who's like, ooh, let's bet on the Bears, if they throw you the potential of you bet and instead of getting a free bet or a promo or something, you get a hat that looks pretty cool, you can be into that too. And they're certainly in a position to offer that to you.
They are. Which segues into a story that you wrote about a modern sports book? Question mark?
Yeah. It really comes back to the fact that we've been talking about it in this podcast for a while, about all the places that can get sports books now. I mean, there's sports venues like Footprint Center in Arizona, at Capital One Arena in DC that have sports books. It's kind of a weird thought about going there and going to a sports book because you've probably paid upwards of $100 or more to go watch the Wizards, Capitals, Mystics, or whoever. And why are you going to sit there and watch it on a television? Because you can bet on your phone. So sports books there, and also in states, if they have mobile sports betting, they want to draw crowds in to watch games. It's been fascinating to watch the progression because in 2018, when PASPA fell and it became possible for states to enact legal sports betting, the preference was always mobile. 90% of bets now in the U.S. and the states that have mobile, the bets are being placed on your phones. It's just convenient. Yeah. And the pitch was you can do it anywhere. You can do it anywhere you want. You can do it on the crapper. You can do it on the couch.
DMV
and after a couple of years, sports betting platforms realized people like hanging out while they're watching sports. So we need to find a way to get them back together into a sports book, but we want them to bet on their phone. And they started, creating chat rooms and social situations where you could be together alone and, rag each other about a bet or go team, talk about, the money you just won. So, in the future, a Hooters or a Buffalo Wild Wings or Dave & Buster's, all these companies have formed or are looking into sports betting partnerships where you see content, even if it's not legal in your state. So you come there and you watch the game, and it's sort of like seeding the ground for if your state does legalize. If it is legal there, well, you maybe can get a specialized app, hang out, communal experience, bet on a Hooters theme app that's maybe affiliated with DraftKings. So the whole premise is making a sports book fun without making it a big smoky room that's dark with TVs and overstuffed couches, because I'm told the kids don't want that anymore. An exec from a technology platform, sort of echoing something that Ted Leonsis, who owns the Capitals, once said, is you have to make it more like a Genius Bar. You kind of stand around, you interact verbally sometimes, you interact a lot on your phone. So kids these days, whole new world. Everyone's trying to figure out how retail still fits, even when mobile is 90% of the market.
Yeah. Point made 1,000%. I whenever you speak of these type of things, these lounges, these hangouts for people, my mind instantly floats to the Wrigley neighborhood up by Wrigley Field in Chicago, where you'll find it's not a classic dive bar anymore. It's not just a bar where people go to have a drink. There's specialty cocktails around. Maybe there's a small pool. People are in the back playing a version of beer pong. There's shuffleboard. There's all these things that don't make a bar. Well, in my opinion, things that don't make a bar anymore. But then you brand that with, come here and also place bets. Maybe you get enough people around. Maybe the venue has a special parlay bet that if everyone goes on, then you're cheering if it hits. The whole space just won a round of drinks or some free chicken wings or something like that. It does make for that youthful experience. I still personally enjoy that. Even if I am betting from my phone, I prefer to do it in a dark, dingy bar, drinking an old style and a shot of whiskey. Then that's the type of betting I like. But
that's because you want to be able to throw stuff, no one get hurt.
Yeah. But no, that it makes a lot of sense.
You have to find the middle ground. I mean, like you look at you look directly at Circa in Vegas. That is the modern sports book. That is the tip of the top right now of what a sports book is. But that's very much a Vegas thing. That's still a destination. You go there, like I did last fall, to sit in those big ass chairs and look at those big ass TVs and let people come wait on you. But that's not everywhere. If you're in Ohio in the future, you're not going to have that. But you don't want, you would have to find the middle ground between a smoky VFW somewhere. I'm sorry, VFW, but you guys are smoky.
Yeah.
They know. Where people are hanging around, yelling at the TV because the Browns suck. But the Genius Bar thing on the other side, it can't be like Starbucks where a group of 12 friends are sitting around a table quietly looking at their phones, because that ain't fun either. Or maybe they think that's great. I don't know. I don't think that's fun to me. There's got to be an interaction thing in the middle, like you said, where there better be like a chicken wing, like Nerf gun, just pumping stuff out, or something. Maybe you need a special app that pops up. You get a code and they start Nerf gunning the chicken wings at you.
I think it has to. You're right that it has to find that medium for people who want to go there to just enjoy the experience and not bet, and the people who actually want to go there, hang out with friends to bet. So, it's finding that middle ground. It'll be interesting to see how sports books evolve, especially, I know we're getting that Bally's Casino here in Chicago. There's no word yet if there will be a sports book. One would imagine that they would try to put one in there, but you got to imagine that these sports books, much like Circa, are going to be state of the art going forward, and no longer will they adhere to that traditional model of 15 seats, leather seats in a row, 35 screens on the wall. Like I feel like those days are done, which is a sad thing to say, but yeah, it's a thing of the past.
I will speak for myself though. If you put a monstrous ass TV in there with a game on it, I'm going to walk in there for a minute. And then if I see you have beer taps in something that doesn't suck, I'm probably going to hang out for a minute. And I'll probably play on my phone as I look up and down from the TV. But I think, there is a thing to be said about the big ass TV is like man bait. I mean, that's Roach Motel, where I'm going to go with it. I'll speak for you.
Yeah. So you did write a story about this, correct? We'll link in the description. Is that right?
Linked.
Got it. Awesome. I believe that's a good, stopping point for this episode. Do you have any last minute thoughts? Anything to add?
No, I've just got to go figure out what I'm going to do in the next 13 weeks before Ohio launches.
You and
Luckily,
me
we got some holidays in there.
Yeah, we do. Again, like, follow, subscribe. If you liked any of the content that we put out, please reach out to us on Twitter. Both available for you. Shoot us some comments, anything you want to hear us chat about, and we will catch you guys next week.